Language and phone. What?
Seems like the cost of life is so much higher than what we had saved. A sea of frost and ice is trying to bury us under its wave. Just look around. Why is it that you're so afraid? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me. Reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. A few dozen years to hang around and take things past where they were when we came. Some fly away, some run aground, some spin in circles, but if it's all the same, I'd rather walk. Will you help me find flowers on the way? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me. Reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. There's beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair.
welcome everybody. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Rabbi Joshua Lesser, I'm the Emeritus Rabbi of Congregation Beit Haverim. I want to give a really warm welcome to all of the folks who are joining us on Zoom, or folks who are watching on YouTube today or at any time. Just want to appreciate you joining us, and in many ways, this gives us a model for how, when people move on in different ways from our community, including many of the people that we're honoring today, can have an opportunity to have a connection and still find a primary way to be here. So thank you on Zoom, thank you for being in the room together, and just want to invite us to always have the awareness of the connection that we make beyond, and that there's something, we're now creating lasting footprints in really interesting and powerful ways. And so, as I said, tonight is a service that really represents one of the life cycle moments within our congregation. You know, and instead of after celebrating a graduation in May, we recognize that many of our kids take different kinds of steps out into the world as they take some really important ways of becoming independent, semi-independent, or and begin expressing an autonomy and living their values in really powerful ways. And it's really exciting. And it is also, for very honest, bittersweet, because it marks time and ways that we hold close. It also recognizes that we open up and want to create reminders. George Benson wrote that great ideas and fine principles do not live from generation to generation just because they're good, nor because they've been carefully legislated, but ideals and principles continue from generation to generation only when they are built into the hearts of children as they grow. And so, if we've done our job as a community, and not just as parents, but as a community, we witness that. Hopefully we have helped shape some of the hearts. And what I can say to those of you in the room and those of you on Zoom, because we have graduates who are joining us on Zoom, is I know that you've built my heart. I looked to make sure I had it. Because when I finished writing my guitar, I started tearing up. I was like, oh, this is bad. I don't usually cry when I write, but it's only words actually coming out of my mouth. But that tenderness really just represents the way we impact each other's lives and see each other in witness and what witness can do. So we're going to bring in Shabbat with a little bit of light, and we're going to invite one of our patriots, Ian Schlitt, and his family to come and light our Shabbat candles. And any of the graduates that are participating this evening, I want to give you the opportunity, if there are some words of reflection that you want to share back with us, we'd love to hear them, but there's no pressure.
My CBH experience has been nothing short of eventful. From counting the minutes until Oneg during the Yom Kippur service, to teaching 10 Kita Dads a new way to learn Hebrew, I enjoyed growing up at a congregation like Beit Haverim and couldn't have asked for a better experience. I've learned that being Jewish isn't just about traditions or reading Hebrew, it's a way of life. We are taught to treat all people with kindness and respect, no matter what race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation, and that is something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I was taught to help others, whether that means giving tzedakah or staying with a student an extra 5 minutes during recess to help them understand a few Hebrew letters. I've become a better person because of CBH, and I can't wait to bring what I've learned out with me into the adult world. Thank you.
Shabbat. So in a moment, we're going to sing Shalom Aleichem, but before we greet the Shabbat messengers, invite us to be messengers of peace and goodness with each other. I'm going to invite either folks on Zoom to offer wishes to each other, and folks in the room to turn to each other, wish each other a good Shabbos, say a few words, and then we'll join together on page 13. So in thinking about beauty as we began, there's a line that says, "Help me find flowers along the way." And there is a folktale that appears in different Jewish traditions about a woman who had 2 water cans, which were attached on a yoke. And each day, she put the yoke over her shoulders and she went down to the river and filled her cans. And she walked back to her home. The water can on the right side of the yoke was fine and sturdy, and when she arrived home, it was always full. But the can on the left had a crack in its seam, and by the time that the woman arrived home, half the water was usually gone. And so the cracked water somehow always felt a bit inferior to the other. There was a sense of shame for being cracked, for somehow understanding that it wasn't pulling its weight. And one day, full of that sense of burden, the can turned to the woman and apologized for being defective. The woman smiled gently and said, "Did you think I did not know that you had a crack and that water dripped from you? I value that part of you. Look at the path from the river to my hut. Do you see all of the beautiful flowers that are growing on that side of the path? These are flowers that I planted, that you water every day as I walk." One of the values that I hope that we continue to live at CBH, and I hope that I help bring into our children's awareness, is that our individuality, our uniqueness, sometimes what the world might see in one lens, is actually often our gift and our strength to bring to the world. And that there are ways where our differences offer a different way to see beauty. And that sometimes it can be hard to find flowers along the way. And so part of our collective responsibility as a community is to help each other when we're not feeling that sense of our own authenticity and power and what it does to make the world more beautiful and more whole. We continue on page 25 with Shir Adonai. mystics, as most of you are well aware, imagine Shabbos as a bride with the excitement and the enthusiasm. And I'm always someone who likes to appreciate the multiple metaphors beyond. And sometimes the bride is a metaphor that works for me, and often it doesn't. And I say that as someone who does lots and lots of weddings these days and loves weddings and see that moment of excitement. And so I was thinking, what metaphor is operative for me? And I thought about my experience here last Shabbat and thought about the beautiful music, that there is a way that actually my experience is different because the kind of music making that happens here, the way that we join our voices together, is not something I experience any other time during the week. And I think having some space and not having it, I would realize how powerfully, and in some ways, welcoming Shabbat is like welcoming a warm melody, welcoming the way that we bring our voices together and hear each other, and it creates a sense of belovedness. So before we go, I would love to invite my co-service leaders just to introduce themselves and say some welcome and that sense of belovedness, and then we'll join together in L'Chadodi, which you can find on page 41.
Hi, I'm Will Robertson. I am the interim music director here at the Congregation of Hollywood.
I'm Ariella Friedman. I am one of the mamas that got to lead Shabbat services last weekend, and happy to be here and sing with everybody. Hi, I'm Sarah Zaswell. I play violin and an alto.
Mike Zimmerman doesn't have a mic, but he is, ironically, but he's playing percussion in the women's office.
41.
Cry.
Please be seated. We'd like to invite Karen Breithoff to come forward and offer this reading that I've adapted from our
Ours cannot be continually using their paintbrush, and ours will stop painting at time and pause or reflect. Stupid thing. Living is also an art. We do not become so absorbed in all the details that we lose our consciousness of the big picture of. Kind of like how all those schools I got into. The Sabbath represents those moments when we pause in our brushwork, turning our vision. Having done so, we give ourselves the opportunity to approach our pain with a clarified vision and renewed energy. We do this with our masterpieces, our homage, and our community. Any questions?
Always.
Yeah, I have no control over that.
Neither do I. Here's your cause. Thank you. We rise together on page 55 for the Chesed Kaddish. Yikada v'yikada shemei Rabbi Yamad yivrat virutei v'yamlich malchutei on page 57. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Melissa Block to come and offer this reading to Twilight People as we prepare for our Shabbat moment.
Twilight people, as the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and more. and none, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscross paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgment, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into his twilight. We cannot always define. We can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight.
Amen. I think I felt that reading in a new way, so thank you. This was written by Rabbi Reuben Kelman, and it's from the Siddur at Shar Zahav, which is, I would say, a companion synagogue founded by LGBT folks in San Francisco. We find the Chatimah for Asher Bivaro that talks about the twilight, that talks about liminal moments that we find ourselves in today. Umavir yom mevi laila, umavir ben yom ben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai. Amari Arabi We find Ahavat Olam on page 63.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael,
The Shema makes it really clear that part of our responsibility as parents, as community members, is to live our lives in such a way that we are demonstrating how to live in alignment with our values and that our actions show up so that our children are able to understand and not just hear it, but witness what it looks like. Educator Leonora Weber wrote that parents owe it to the children to put the tools of living into their hands, hands which we have made as strong and as capable as we can. But having given them the hands and the tools, we owe it to them not to do their digging for them. And so I think that when we say the Shema, that we recognize that each of us gets to walk our path in our way, to discover that alignment, that all of us doing it at the same time is in praise of the oneness that is represented of the whole of the universe. So please join me on page 65. Shema Yisrael.
Yahatan Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavecha, Bechol nafshecha, Bechol me'odecha, Echayu Hadarim ha'ele, Asher Anochi Mitzavecha, Hayom alecha, V'shinartam lanecha, V'dibarta bam, V'shivtecha v'leitecha, U'lecha derech, V'shapecha u'v'unecha, V'kshartam hayot al yadecha, V'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, U'knaftam al mezuzot beitecha,
We turn to our prayer of freedom and liberation, Michamocha, on page 79. Please join us in this call and response.
I'd like to invite Lila Arnold to lead us on page 798 with this reading. We give away our thanks. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Torah portion in a moment in a different way, but there's a lot about recognizing how the land can serve as a way to be a balance, as a way for us to develop relationship and connection. And so in between this idea of freedom and liberation, which the land is given the rights to have its own sense of freedom and liberation, as well as representing a sense of wholeness and harmony, wanted to place this as our bridge into
We give away our thanks to the earth, which gives us our home. We give away our thanks to the rivers and lakes and oceans, which give away their water. We give away our thanks to the trees, which give away fruit and nuts. We give away our thanks to the wind, which brings rain to water the plants. We give away our thanks to the sun, which gives away warmth and light. All beings on earth, the trees, the animals, the wind, and the rivers, give away to one another, so all is in balance. We give away our promise to begin, to learn how to stay in balance. with all the earth.
Thank you, Robert. Please join us for Ufos Elena on page 81. Before we move into Amidah, I want to read some words from Naomi Norton, who couldn't be with us tonight, but who asked for her voice to be included, and perhaps she is with us on Zoom. So Naomi, if you're there, I wanted to welcome you and thank you for your words. Naomi writes that over the past 18 years, being Chinese, raised by Jewish parents in a welcoming Reconstructionist congregation, I have had many unique experiences throughout the time I've been a part of this community. I remember attending many different services, Sunday school, the B'nai Mitzvah, realizing that there aren't many people who look like me being an Asian Jew. The difference, however, didn't make a change to how people treated me. I have been welcomed as a part of this community, which I happily embraced. Thus, with the help of community and my parents, I was able to experience a bat mitzvah along with the other experiences through Congregation B'Kurim. Sunday school brings back memories of me waking up early, listening to the morning meetings, and then starting class with my teachers, which was very enjoyable since it was quite different, yet similar to regular school. The preparations for my bat mitzvah were quite a lot through Sunday school along with the classes outside this. But it made my experience much more memorable. Having Rabbi Josh be able to attend my bat mitzvah was very special. Being able to have him lead my service and talk about my preparations beforehand, along with these preparations, having Dan and I choose specific songs performed and offered by the chorus was rewarding because I got to choose the ones that were important to me. I also remember being taken early to High Holy Days and other services because my mom's choir warm-ups, which I always loved to hear, which made me enjoy their pieces and performances even more when they sang them at these services and concerts. I remember always drawing or doodling on the little envelopes or flyers. Yet, I was listening and enjoying the stories and songs that the services on. For my next steps, I'll be beginning college at University of Puget Sound, and I'll be prepared for the new changes with much help from my family and the congregation up to now. The new community I'll experience will be exciting and challenging, but I still know that I have a welcoming congregation to come back when I return home. Thank you, Naomi. So I invite us to turn to page 91 as we rise for the Amidah, or use this time for your own private meditations. We'll join together in the first line, and then when you're finished, please be seated. Adonai, join our own private prayers and meditations with a communal prayer for healing. I invite people to say the names of those that pray for Orufu Ashlema, a healing of body, of mind, and spirit. I invite you to say those names now. If you're on the Zoom, I invite you to put those names in the chat. Please join in this call and response as we pray for collective healing. So this is the second devar that I've given this entire year. So the danger is, I chalked in all of the pages I would have written throughout the year. So tonight, this Shabbat, tomorrow, we conclude the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, with a double portion, Matot Maseh. For rabbis, when we get to the end of Numbers, this often serves as a potent alarm clock indicating that there's only one book of Torah that's standing between us and Haggadah. In other words, we are just under 60 days until the start of Rosh Hashanah, what this year I like to call the birthday of the world and Joshua Lesser. It falls on every Rosh Hashanah. The world has to share it with me. But more fittingly, tonight we acknowledge our students and their families who have arrived at this auspicious moment of finishing their journey, their chapter of high school, and looking ahead at what lies next. Because in many ways, this moment in your lives mirrors how the book of Numbers ends. Even though there is an entire other book, Deuteronomy, between us and our return to Genesis, that book is mostly Moses going on and on nostalgically about all the great things that he and God have done for the Israelites, and also trying to fervently pack in as much advice, expectations, and warnings as possible before the next generation of Israelites enters the promised land. Sound familiar to any of you? Is that what's happening? And just like those of you who are about to take new steps, go in new directions, and exercise your own independence, the newest generation of Israelites in this portion are at the cusp of crossing the Jordan River into Promised Land University, where all they serve in the dining hall is milk and honey. Probably frosted flakes. There are a few things that happen at the end that I think can be instructive to you, to our families, and really to any one of us who finds ourselves at an important transition, juncture, or watershed moment. Lucky for you, I've been living in that liminal space for a while, so I have a fresh perspective. Number one, Moses reminds the Israelites of the stops on their journey, and he enumerates the encampments of their long journey, all 42 of them. And so what I learned from this is the recognition that we did not just arrive at this moment somehow, by accident. That the cliche that life is a journey is actually made literal in our Torah portion. And when we arrive at an important crossing, the opportunity to pause in our rush to what's next and appreciate all the small stops and big moments that has made this one and what is next possible. When we do this, it opens us up to these things. Number one, the awareness of our strengths. We have arrived at this juncture because we have gifts, good habits, skills, and guiding values. Celebrate yourself arriving at this moment. You will need these strengths for what is next, even if, and likely will, they are used in new and exciting ways. Number two, at this juncture, there's an opportunity to grieve. Every new beginning marks an ending. It is okay to have some sadness, anxiety, apprehension in this moment. Acknowledging it is actually healthy. It's normal. And for me, it makes it easier for us to put everything into perspective. Maybe you thought you would be entering into a different promised land than you were accepted into. Or understandably feel that the pandemic robbed you of some really important experiences that you hope to have. Maybe some of us at this moment have disappointment. Or even if you are really excited for what is next, you're sad to leave relationships, the comfort of what you know, the known, the predictable. That is something we leave behind. So often when we are able to articulate these things to ourselves and to others, we are able to breathe. We often hear that others have been there too, or are there in this very moment, that we are not alone in taking our pause to breathe. And it helps us take the steps to really embrace our next destination. It clears the way. 3, the need to take responsibility. The structure, when we look at all the stops along the way, we begin to take responsibility. And when we begin to look at our responsibility, are there things that we need to do or need to say to make this moment complete? Can we learn from the past? Repair what can be repaired. Commit to what can be different so that we bring as little regret with us as we possibly can. I remember at my Paideia graduation, Paideia has a tradition, I don't know if it still exists. I haven't had the desire to sit through another 4.5-hour graduation service. Have you ever thought my services are grueling in length? Go to a Paideia graduation, but they would leave. In some ways, there was no valedictorian, there was no kind of honors that were given out, but there was a subtle honor for the student that was left for last. It was not done in alphabetical order. I was that student. And in that moment, when my name was called, the entire room stood. And I had my Sally Fields moments. I didn't really fully ever comprehend, as somebody who felt a bit different, not understanding the process that I was going through was about coming out, I always felt like a popular loner in some ways. I had an experience of being different. And seeing the entire room stand, I burst into tears, surprise, surprise. But I had this deep dread that somehow I had squandered my entire high school experience, not recognizing that I was with a community that really appreciated and saw who I was. And not that I actually did that much better in college, but it was this instructive moment to look back and realize that the journey to be authentic and to embrace and accept who I am and help others do the same would be part of my life's path. And so when we take responsibility, I didn't blame people for not telling me. I knew in that moment I somehow had missed it. Lots of things can be learned. My mantra these days is I can do hard things. I say it over and over without even recognizing that I'm saying it out loud. Each transition invites growth and maturity. How will you be the most responsible version of yourself so that you can have the freedom of your new future awaiting? And how will you make whatever decision that lies ahead of you the very best decision? I don't believe that there's one right decision. I believe that once we commit to a decision, we have the possibility of making the best decision. So, remember, there is rarely ever one right way. Rather, use the information and tools that are at your disposal so that we can make whatever decision we choose, that best, that right decision. Lost count. 4. The acknowledgement of truly there's so much to be grateful for is really important when we look at the steps along the way. For as amazing as each one of you are, and each of you are in your own right, because I know who you are. I've said this to you at your bar mitzvah, that you didn't arrive at that juncture alone, and today you're not arriving at this juncture alone. Your parents, your siblings, your friends, your teachers, your doctors, your bus drivers, your camp counselors, your community members, and perhaps even your rabbi have contributed to making this moment possible. And for those of us who believe in any version of a godly presence, that presence too. Like Moses enumerating all 42 stops, it can be hard to number all of the people who have contributed to your lives. Likely, for all of us, this is what it means that we will receive and be a blessing like the grains of sand or stars in the sky that are part of our Jewish legacy. I think that blessing is the connections that have contributed to make this moment possible. A vast network of people and opportunities have arisen for you. In addition to your strengths, each and every one of us has been so fortunate in that great lottery of life. The moment ahead of you is one so many people around the globe would treasure. We must protect ourselves from being entitled by inviting the humbling embrace of gratitude. And when we do that, we recognize how connected we are, and often now given the power to bring all of this together so that we may bring our gifts to benefit the world and others. And just like a parent going on way too long in a brief mitzvah speech, or before their child leads into the next steps of adulthood, Moses throws in some random advice with tips like, please don't murder anyone. So yes, please avoid murder. But most importantly, as someone who's been thinking a great deal about the concept of exile, and not quite knowing what home is, my last kitchen sink item for you is what I hope the Israelites learned on their journey from place to place. And what you have the possibility of learning in this major transition is that home takes many forms. Where you have grown has obviously been home. Where you have grown up has obviously been home. But perhaps you went to a camp that was home. Maybe for some of you, school was home. Maybe CBH feels like home. But most importantly of all, what I have learned in this time of transition for myself is that you have the possibility to discover that there is a place deep within you that can be home. The promised land exists inside of you. So that wherever you go, you have the possibility of being home. That is my blessing for you. And as we say when we end the book of Torah, from strength to strength, may we be strength. Shabbat shalom. Shalom. So I want to speak a little bit more directly to the graduates by offering them a blessing. There's a traveler's blessing in Jewish tradition. And so, for those of you who joined us on Zoom, and for those of you in this room, I offer you, may it be your will, God, and the God of our ancestors, that you should lead these people, the children of our congregation, in peace, and direct their steps in peace, and guide them in peace, and support them in peace, and cause them to reach their destination in life, and in joy, and in peace. Protect them from every harm and accident, from threats and danger on the journey, and from all kinds of punishments that rage and come to the world. May you place blessing upon the work of their hands, and grant them grace, kindness, and compassion in your eyes, and in the eyes of all who see them on their journey, and bestow upon them abundant kindness, and hearken to the voice of this prayer, for you the one who hears the prayers of all. Blessed are you, the source of listening, who hearkens to prayer. And let us say, Amen. I'd like to invite the president of our congregation, Lauren Rich, to offer some words and a gift to our graduates.
Our graduates, the gift is in the back. They were too heavy to bring up here. You cannot leave without getting them. It is my great honor as CBH president to help send you off to your new adventures. I kind of feel like I have a personal connection to each of you, even if you don't think so. Shoshana, Aaron, Ian, and Lila, I'm an Ohio State Buckeye, and that you're going to Wisconsin and Alabama, and UGA does not make me happy. Now, Noah, I remember sitting in your suki. I think we called it a suki, you running around, maybe about 4 feet shorter than you are now. And I enjoyed so many evenings like that with you. And Naomi, I kibbutz with your dad. While your mom was in choir, we hung out in the corner during Yom Kippur, kibitzing about you. And Scarlett, I danced at your Brit Mitzvah. And Caleb Staple-Lax, I was at your bris. And my, have you changed. It's a tradition here at CBH to send you away with a gift. And the gift is Shabbat candlesticks. They are in the back. I Googled the Jewish symbolism of Shabbat candles this morning, and it's all apropos for how we want to send you off. They symbolize honor and joy, a reminder of the circle of life, and also specialness, distinguishing Shabbat from every day, signifying your specialness to us. Now, I don't know whether you're going to take these candlesticks away with you wherever you go. I hope you do. And I don't know whether you're going to use them. I just want you to know, as my gift to you, how important you are to us. You are the Dor Vador. You are the next generation. You are going out there into that world, and you will encounter so many things that will inspire you, scare you, excite you, disappoint you, energize you, exalt you. Every one of you is going to change the world and be changed by it. And we here are sitting quelling back here as we watch all of this, and also watching, protecting, worrying, and also incredibly hopeful for the rest of the world, because it's you who are going out there to make it better. And I hope if on some Friday night, when you're feeling maybe a bit alone in the dorm, or wherever it is you are, or maybe you're just exhausted, or maybe you're just tired, or maybe a bit homesick, I hope if you've taken these candlesticks with you, you'll pull them out. You'll try them out, no matter how awkward it might feel to light them. And I hope you'll know then all the power and comfort and protection that we are trying to channel to you tonight. and embrace from us, and that you'll feel in that moment all the love everyone in this community has for you. So mazel tov, and wish you a wonderful adventure. And you want me to go to the announcements?
Yes, your call.
Thank you.
So we're gonna offer a musical blessing and then conclude with the blessing. I'm gonna invite, if you're not sitting next to your parents, to take a moment and move close to them just for this piece.
So I wrote this for my 13-year-old's bat mitzvah about a year ago, and I now want to offer it to y'all. May the spirit that surrounds us, that nurtures all our dreams, bless and keep you underneath her wings. May she open up your eyes to see the joy that living brings, and bless and keep you underneath her wings. Bless and keep you safe and whole and warm. Bless and keep you sheltered in the storm. At its darkest, and you're holding on till dawn. May you know grace, know that you are strong. The light that you've been seeking was inside you all along. May you know grace, and know that you are strong. May you know grace, and may the source of all that's known lift her face and light your way back home. Oh, when the big wide world is calling and it's time to fly away, may you find peace as you travel on your way. 'Cause who you'll be tomorrow starts with where you go today. May you find peace as you travel on your way. May you find peace and truth and love and light. May you know grace, and may the one who lifts the night lift her face and light your way back home and bless and keep you. King, yeah, our song.
So after these words of blessing, the parents want to, in a way that is acceptable to your children, put your arms either on your shoulders or feel that sense of connection. All of us can also feel that connection within ourselves as well. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God's face shine upon you and bring you grace. May God's face turn towards you and bring you peace. King of Kings. Take a deep breath. Now we have announcements. Sacred to the Monday.
My name is Lauren Rich, and again, I'm CDA's board president, and I'm standing in for the inimitable Marcy Alt to do the announcements. We are welcoming a new rabbi next Friday, August 5th. Please sign up. Please check our website for the sign-ups. Rabbi Mike Rothbaum will be doing his first Shabbat service an intimate, quiet one next Friday, August 5th. August 6th, we will have a Tisha B'Av service here. All of these events are in person and also virtual. Please check the website. And also, please sign the brief for you if you intend to come in person.
Just one thing. For folks who aren't familiar with Tisha B'Av, it's a day that observes the collective grief and mourning that the Jewish people experience around the temple, as well as contemporary moments throughout. So it's often a fast day for some. And so, given that there's been a lot of things to reflect and grieve upon, I want to encourage folks. It would be a great opportunity to connect and process that together.
And Rabbi Mike is going to weave into the Tisha B'Av service some old traditions, sitting on the floor to mourn. We'll also have Sheena Cohn chanting some verses from Echa, Lamentations. So please come to the Tisha B'Av service. Then on August 7th, CPR training. Sign up for that if you like. Then August 12th, Rabbi Mike will be back again for his second introduction to CPH, this time loud, musical, and celebratory, starring Will Robertson and some chorus members and the band and musicians, I hope. Then August 13th, we have Shabbat Yoga. August 28th, we have Elul meditation. August 31st and September 7th, we have a personal inventory, 2 Elul classes that are being offered by Rabbi Mike, also online and in person. And on September 17th, Slichot services. And all of this is before the High Ho. In addition to all of this, if you really don't think we offer anything, you could also come to Mindful Moments every morning, weekdays at 8:45 on Zoom. You could end the day with the 15-minute minyan, Saturdays to Thursdays at 8 p.m., also on Zoom. If that's not enough, you can come to our lunchtime Torah study every Tuesday at noon on Zoom. And if that's not enough, you can chant with us every first and third Monday at 6:30 p.m. So there's lots going on. We are all very excited. Rabbi Mike has landed, but his furniture has not. But he will be here hopefully beginning next Tuesday morning here at Vista. I want to thank this week's Oneg supporter especially, Gloria Clamaris. Would you stand? Gloria is with Sunrise of Buckhead, and they are supporting us, and they have brought to us the Oneg tonight that's been arranged by Abby and Noah and Elena, I think, who are putting it together. So thank you, Gloria.
Thank you so much.
I also want to thank Abby for just being person par excellence. Rick Stone, who promised to get my good side on Zoom. And 2 more things. We need
Building on sound?
Billy Mizell running sound.
sound. Yeah. I was waiting to come around.
Oh,
So
sorry.
let's grab this.
Say Billy.
And 2 more things. We need more holiday ushers and greeters. Please know that we are going to be training you in the power of hello. A couple of security issues together with High Ho, if we have as big a group as we expect. And hopefully we'll be out of COVID and we'll be at St. Bart's. So we really do need greeters and ushers. Either contact the office or Marcy Falls. Also, if you're interested in sponsoring an Oneg, again, please contact the office. I want to thank Will, Ariella, the musicians, I don't see Sarah, there you are, and Rabbi Josh always, thank you, and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Will you stand, Mike? Actually, I will invite you to stand because all of us will stand on page 121. Thank you to Lauren Rich for announcements and for her beautiful blessing as well. And all the work that the president of the congregation ends up doing on behalf of all of us. Please join me for the anthem. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon HaKol, Ha'teikenu l'Yotzei Bereshit, Shenatam Torah Atemet, V'chayei Olam Betokenu, V'anachnu Korim, Mishtachachim U'odim, Lifnei Melech כתוב בתורת פניי לא לעולם ועד. Invite to be seated as we turn to the inside covers of our prayer book. I would like to invite Shoshana Paulus to lead us in the prayer for the end of Friday and to offer some words as well.
I just want to say first that though I am going to school in Wisconsin, I'm going to a really small school and I don't even think we have football. So rest assured that there's no competition there. And I also don't think we're allowed to light candles in our dorms, but I'll take them and I'll try them. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Shoshana, and today was my last day of a month-long stretch working at a Girl Scout sleepaway camp. I've had the privilege of being a camper there for 8 years before I became a counselor. But being surrounded by women and non-binary people in nature is a very powerful experience, and it also inadvertently helps a lot of people discover who they are regarding sexuality and gender. Being surrounded by women and non-binary people all day does that. And by that I also mean that if you're sending your children to an all-girls sleepaway camp, chances are 90% of your counselors are queer. But today we were talking about how the Girl Scout camp to LGBT pipeline exists, and a lot of my friends didn't feel comfortable with themselves until they came to camp, and while I loved my 8 years at camp, my comfort regarding sexuality started somewhere else. It started here. Growing up at CBH, I never realized that being gay was anything but normal. I literally did not realize that it was something that people would think was weird or abnormal. And when I started coming into my own sexuality and gender identity, I found nothing but comfort and understanding from my parents and my siblings in this community. And I can't thank this congregation, and especially Rabbi Josh, enough for providing an environment that would help me grow that way. And so as I go off to school in Wisconsin and leave everything I know behind, I will take the prayer for the end of hiding with me, and I'll meet you in the town. So in the back cover, I think, yeah. As LGBTQ Jews,
we are aware of the loss of integrity we suffer due to the pressures of large society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves to ourselves and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something that they are not. The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to win larger acceptance. Both are victims of the theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, and religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draws to an end, that we no longer feel we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to pronounce ourselves, and that our fullest creative expressions as Jews and as transgender, bisexual, queer people be among the blessings you bestow upon us. Amen.
Thank you.
We should call off. So I know we're towards the end of the services. I just want to say two things. One is when we as a community many years ago really grappled with this idea of how we might bring our values into the world to welcome a larger intersection, there was recognition that there would be a loss of comfort for the gay and lesbian and bisexual folks who had started the community. And one of the things that I said in those early days is that for me, the kinds of welcoming of families, particularly ones with children, the possibility of leaving our comfort zone could create the kind of vision, and at that point, Tikkun Olam wasn't used as frequently as it is, but really a vision of Tikkun Olam, of world repair. And that I would risk personally, and hopefully we would risk communally, a sense of a little bit of comfort so that we could actually bring a change into this world. And so to hear all of our influence speak this evening, and folks who are representing us on Zoom. I sometimes have anxiety about where the world is headed, and then I think about the children that have grown in this community and the adults that are coming, and I fully recognize the power and the authenticity and the courage of their unique voices. And so it helps me feel less anxiety about what's happening in the world. And so thank all of you. And I look forward to seeing what happens next. So thank you. We find Morris Cottage as we work to the conclusion of our service, 1:31. I ask those who are observing the roadside or in a period of ritual mourning to please stand and to say the names of their loved ones. So tonight I say Kaddish to my father, Lawrence Lesser. With those words of Shalom Ramah, may the one who creates peace in the heights create peace for all of us, all of Israel, and for the entire world. Thank you very much. Oh, say